About a week and a half after our annual 4th of July cookout, life was back to normal. Our backyard is big, making it the perfect spot for hosting large gatherings. Every year, we invite the whole neighborhood, even people we don't usually talk to. The cookout is always a big hit, with great food, lots of laughter, and a laid-back atmosphere. This year was no different, and by all accounts, it was another successful event. Now, several days later, it was a quiet Sunday afternoon. My wife, Becky, and I had spent the morning running errands, shopping and having lunch at the mall. With nothing else planned, I was ready to relax in front of the TV. The idea of sinking into the couch to watch a game or movie sounded like the perfect way to end the weekend. But just as I was getting comfortable, the doorbell rang. With a groan, I started to get up, but Becky was already on her way to answer it. Curious, I followed her to the door. When she opened it, I was surprised to see Mark Diaz standing on the porch. He and his wife, Lisa, had been at the cookout, though we didn't talk to them much outside of neighborhood events. They were polite and friendly at gatherings, but I always felt a little uneasy around them. Mark and Lisa were known to be part of a swingers club in the city, a lifestyle I didn't understand or agree with. While I didn't hold it against them, it kept me from forming a close connection with them. We had a polite but distant relationship with Mark. He stood there with a casual smile, hands in his pockets, as if he had all the time in the world. We rarely had unexpected visitors, so I couldn't help but wonder why he had stopped by and what this unexpected visit might mean for our otherwise peaceful Sunday afternoon. Becky greeted Mark with a warm smile and invited him inside. Not wanting to seem unfriendly, I welcomed him into the living room and motioned for him to sit down. Almost right away, Becky asked Mark if he'd like a beer. That surprised me since we never kept beer or any alcohol in the house. If friends wanted drinks, they usually brought their own, or I'd make a quick trip to the store nearby. But having beer on hand, that was unusual. Mark accepted her offer, and Becky disappeared into the kitchen, returning moments later with a beer for him, and one for me too. I thanked her, still a bit confused, and was even more surprised when she sat down next to me on the couch. Usually, Becky would leave me to chat with company and go do her own thing. Today, though, her body language seemed different. She was engaged but also slightly tense, leaning forward with a subtle stiffness in her posture. Mark, now sitting comfortably in the armchair angled toward the couch, didn't waste any time. With a smile, he said, "Alex, I'm sure you've heard the rumors about Lisa and me." I started to say something polite about not paying attention to gossip, but Mark didn't give me the chance. He continued, "Well, those rumors are true. Lisa and I are part of a swingers club, and we've been active in it for about a year. Honestly, it's been amazing for us. We love each other deeply, and this has added a whole new level to our relationship. It's always done with mutual consent and full transparency, and to be honest, it's brought us closer. Every time we come back from the club, we're more passionate than ever." His openness completely caught me off guard. It's not every day a neighbor shares something so personal and unconventional. As I tried to process what he was saying, I glanced at Becky. She seemed unusually focused, her expression thoughtful but hard to read. Clearly, this wasn't going to be the quiet, relaxing Sunday I had planned. "Mark," I cut in, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. I don't want to hear any more about this. Frankly, I wasn't interested in the details of his personal life, and I certainly didn't appreciate him bringing it up in front of Becky. A hint of irritation slipped into my tone as I added, "Was there another reason you came over?" Mark raised his hand slightly, as if to calm me down. "Alex, relax," he said. Mark raised his hand slightly, trying to calm me down. "I can see you're upset, but that's not why I'm here. I'm not trying to make you angry. Then why are you here?" I asked, my patience wearing thin. He hesitated for a moment before answering. "Well, Becky approached us at the cookout and asked us a few questions. That's all." His words hit me like a bolt of lightning. I turned to Becky, completely stunned. She met my gaze, her cheeks turning red as she gave me a shy, awkward smile. Becky and I had been married in our early 30s. Before meeting her, I'd been a confirmed bachelor with no serious plans to settle down. Becky, on the other hand, had been engaged before, but her fiancé ended things after she found out she couldn't have children. None of that mattered to me. When I met Becky, I fell deeply in love. I didn't care about having kids. I just wanted her. As I tried to process what Mark had just said, he spoke again, his tone calm but firm. Don't look so shocked, Alex. A lot of married couples explore things like this. For Lisa and me, it's brought us closer. I glanced at Becky, still trying to wrap my head around everything. What exactly had she asked Mark and Lisa at the cookout? And why? My quiet Sunday had turned into something I was completely unprepared for. Frustration bubbled up as Mark continued to talk, making me dislike him more and more with every word. Alex, he said, his tone almost patronizing. Don't you want to see Becky happy? I turned to Becky, who had stayed quiet so far. Her expression was unreadable, but I needed answers. Are you not happy with me? I asked directly, my voice a mix of hurt and confusion. Becky reached out and placed her hand on mine, her tone soft and reassuring. Of course I'm happy, honey. I love being with you, she said. But then she hesitated, glancing briefly at Mark before continuing. It's just that, well, it might be fun for us to try something new. You know, with someone else. Just for a change, that's all. Don't you see? It would only be about sex. It wouldn't mean we don't love each other. It could even make our marriage stronger, she said, her words at me like a punch to the gut. Before I could respond, Mark jumped in again, clearly trying to convince me. Alex, think of it this way, he said, leaning forward a bit. If Becky loved dancing and wanted to try different types of dances, but you only knew how to do one, wouldn't you want her to enjoy herself by dancing with other partners who could show her the rest? I didn't hesitate. No, Mark, I wouldn't, I replied firmly. If Becky wanted to learn new dances, I'd expect her to teach me, so we could enjoy them together. Mark leaned back, clearly surprised by my answer. Becky squeezed my hand lightly, but I couldn't tell if she agreed with me, was disappointed, or was just trying to ease the tension. Whatever this conversation was supposed to accomplish, I was certain of one thing. I wasn't going along with it. Mark could clearly see from my face that his efforts weren't working. My anger was obvious, and it was clear I wasn't about to agree to go to a swingers club with my wife. He turned to Becky, who scrunched her face a bit, showing a look of disappointment. Well, Mark said with a shrug, glancing at her, we tried. He gave a weak smile, stood up from his chair, and added, no hard feelings, old pal, extending his hand to me. I ignored his hand, my frustration bubbling up. I'll show you to the door, I said curtly, stepping between him and Becky as I headed toward the entryway. As soon as he crossed the threshold, I practically slammed the door behind him. I turned back toward the living room, where Becky was still standing with her arms crossed loosely. You didn't have to be so rude, she said, her tone defensive. I asked him to come over and talk to you. How long have you been having these fantasies about sleeping with other guys? I asked, my voice sharp. Then, before she could respond, I quickly added, they're just fantasies, right? You haven't actually done anything, have you? Her eyes widened slightly. She answered firmly, of course not. I would never do that. You have to know that. She sighed, her tone softening. That's why I asked him to come over. I thought someone with experience could explain it better. That's all. Look, I'm sorry. Just forget the whole thing. I thought it might be something fun for us to explore, but I can see it's not for you. With that, she turned toward the kitchen, tossing a quick parting comment over her shoulder. Go watch your golf or whatever on TV. I'll start dinner. I stood there for a moment, trying to process everything that had just happened. The tension was still thick in the air as she disappeared into the next room. I didn't just sit back down on the couch and pretend nothing had happened. Instead, I headed upstairs and started packing. By the time Becky realized I wasn't watching TV and came upstairs to check on me, I had nearly finished. A suitcase was already zipped up, and I was closing the garment bag that lay across the bed. When she walked into the bedroom, the look on her face was a mix of shock and fear. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice trembling with panic. "I'm making it easy for you to have sex with as many guys as you want," I said coldly, not looking at her as I finished packing. Her eyes filled with tears almost immediately. "Oh, honey, don't do this. Don't be crazy," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I've never cheated on you, not once. I swear, I love you. I promise I'll never bring up anything like that again. Please, please don't leave. I love you." I finally turned to face her, my heart heavy but my decision firm. "Becky, in 7 years of marriage, I can honestly say I've never even considered being with another woman. Do you know why? Because I took our marriage vows seriously. When I said I do, I made a commitment to love, honor, and cherish you until death do us part. And I've kept that commitment every day." Her tears fell, but I continued. "How can you honor your husband by reducing the deepest expression of his love for you to just sex? How can you cherish the intimacy that should be sacred between a husband and wife when you're so willing to share it with strangers? I love you, Becky, with all my heart. I probably always will." Her lip quivered as she tried to speak, but I wasn't done. "But I demand the whole package. It has to be more than just love. It has to include the honor and cherishing too. And today, I lost that. Or at least I realized I did. But, honey," she managed through her sobs, "I never did anything. I've never been with another man since we got married." "I know that," I replied, my voice softer but still firm. "And I do appreciate it. I really do. But sometimes, Becky, it's not the act. It's the thought that counts. What you were willing to consider, what you wanted us to entertain, changes things for me." Her tears flowed harder, but I pressed on. "Tomorrow I'll contact our attorney to start the divorce proceedings. I want you to have half of everything, Becky. I still care about you. I truly want you to be happy. I hope that one day you find someone you can give your full commitment to, because love is great, but without honor and respect, there's no foundation, no hope." She collapsed onto the bed, crying uncontrollably as I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her behind with the weight of what had been lost. The divorce was harder than either of them had expected. Becky, desperate to save the marriage, fought the proceedings at every turn. The court required multiple counseling sessions to try to reconcile their differences, but Alex's decision stayed firm. Each session felt like an emotional battle, with Becky pleading and promising to change, while Alex quietly but firmly stood by his choice. "It's not about hate or anger," he told the counselor one day. "I still love her, but something broke, and I can't pretend it didn't. Living in a marriage without that foundation feels like a lie, and I refuse to live like that." Becky was heartbroken. Despite her efforts to delay the divorce, she had to accept that Alex wasn't coming back. After months of legal battles, tears, and arguments, the divorce was finalized. They divided their assets evenly, as Alex had insisted from the start, and went their separate ways. The split left Becky devastated, but Alex found a strange sense of peace. He moved out of the city, leaving behind the life they had built together. He bought a modest farm on the outskirts of a quiet town, where he could start fresh. The farm was small but perfect for him. Just a few acres, a cozy farmhouse, and plenty of space to be alone with his thoughts. Life on the farm brought Alex a new kind of happiness. He spent his days tending to his garden, fixing up the old house, and taking long walks in the surrounding woods. The simplicity of his new life was a balm for his soul. Occasionally, neighbors would stop by to say hello, or a delivery person would ask why someone like him had chosen such a remote place to live. "I've had enough of people," he'd say with a small smile. "I'm happier this way." Though he was alone, Alex didn't feel lonely. The quiet gave him space to reflect and heal, and the farm gave him a sense of purpose. For the first time in years, He felt free. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.